Carol?
Yes, I have a couple of comments about the events that occurred over the weekend here. And on the first account, I would like to say, Ben, I think you're doing a very good job. I like your outreach, I like your approach, I like a lot of the projects you've undertaken. I have, not 100% in agreement with all of them, but I think you're trying very hard to make positive approach to the town and open up lines of communications with everyone and all that. And so I commend you for that. But this weekend, when the arrest of KNS and Cheney took place, I just think set the whole process back considerably. I think to make an example of a seated elected police commissioner first class for 6th degree larceny was a major mistake. I think it impacts the credibility of your commission. I think it undermines your authenticity as a commission. It smacked of a personal vendetta because my understanding is that a 6th degree larceny is the equivalent of writing bad check or, I've read the legal definition of 6th degree and it's next to nothing. And to publicly humiliate an elected official is so over the top, I see no justification for it. I think it's a major embarrassment for the town. And I think it's a major embarrassment for your commission. And I think that, I don't know what your purview is in going forward as far as to arrest someone for a 6th degree larceny. But if my next door neighbor, whose last name I don't even know, cashed a bad check, I don't think there would be anybody there filing a report and putting her name on the news, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times over the weekend. The humiliation level for one of your commission members I thought was unconscionable. And I see no rationale for making this as huge a deal as it became. And I think it really cut a hole in the credibility of your commission. And I'd be very curious to know how much this all cost in terms of taxpayer dollars too, to go after something as ludicrous as this. I mean, really, from the outside looking in, to me, it appears ludicrous. And I am in no way speaking for the Board of Selectmen. Absolutely not. This is me here on my own. I have no idea what the opinions are of the other selectmen. Kim and I don't always agree. More times than not, we disagree on things. But I would say the same thing if it was you, if it was you, if it was you. It just undermines the whole commission's credibility, and I think it was a bad move for the department and a slap in the face to the police commission. And while I have the floor, and I'm sorry to just pound, but it made me sad at John's retirement on Thursday that no one spoke up from the police commission for him. No one stood up and said, thanks, John, 26 years, you had a nice career, you tried, you gave it your all. Not one person from the police commission stood up and said, thank you, John. And not for nothing, but he came to the Board of Selectmen Wednesday morning and thanked us for his career. No one's ever done that. Todd didn't do it. No one ever came before us before. And he was dressed to the nines, as he always is, looking like a real credit to the department. He said, I had a fabulous career here. I have no complaints. I'm leaving with a smile on my face. And he was incredibly gracious. And not to return that graciousness was not very kind. And I was disappointed that Todd Laurie wasn't there too. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's an hour out of anybody's life, and I was very disappointed that nobody spoke up and just said, thank you, John. Okay, I'm done. And on the other hand, I think we're doing good work, but, let's keep the environment of the town on the up and up and on the positive side. And let's not use every opportunity we can to chop each other down, okay?
Do you mind if I give you a rebuttal here?
Please.
Okay. First
As
off,
long as I'm allowed to rebut the rebuttal.
I just want to make a couple quick points. Number one, we treated this case as we would any other. We have an obligation to address these complaints very simply. I'll give you an example. If someone calls our dispatcher and says, the guy in a red pickup truck just pulled my Hillary sign off my front lawn and took off, my officers pull that vehicle over on the road, the Hillary sign's in the truck, he gets a summons.
Okay, he gets a
Let me
summons.
finish, please. I give you the
All
floor.
right.
Let me finish.
Okay.
He gets a summons, and we go on. If he gets on to 95, we never see him again, am I gonna put any more resources to that? No. But when a sign is taken, a complaint is made, we didn't make the complaint, the complaint was brought here, it was taken in like any other complaint. All the pictures, any evidence were placed on open source, social media. We gave everybody an opportunity to come in and speak, they didn't. This went in front of a judge at Superior Court, who signed the arrest warrant. That's why it went the way it went. Listen, we have an obligation to maintain the integrity of this organization, and this was not a personal vendetta. It was not vetted against anyone. We would have done the same for everyone. It took forever because I wasn't getting involved. I don't get involved at the 6th-degree larceny level, like you said. And went through the regular channels.
Okay, so somebody takes the Hillary sign, he lives next door to the guy who takes the Hillary sign. So you know who it is. Do you bring him down and take his mugshot and put it on Channel 8 News?
That's the process once we have to go through arrest warrant. If we take care of it on scene, that's called speedy information.
How did
Be able
the
to make that
arrest?
arrest in the field on speedy information. When it's an arrest warrant, you have to come in to be processed. That's the way, I don't make the law, that's the law. We just enforce it.
Well, okay, the bottom line of my commentary is, I think it undermines the credibility of the police department and the police commission.
Well, I think it did not undermine the credibility of the police department. I think we're upholding the credibility of the police department because everybody in the public knows we will serve justice equally and fairly, no matter who you are. And the counterpoint is this, that if we don't do anything, and then people who put out the complaint say to us, oh, see, they didn't do anything. Now, you have the inference of corruption. I cannot allow that to happen to this community or to this department. We're trying to build an organization here. So, the court system is in place for fair and impartial justice. I don't mete out justice, we don't hand it out, there's no vendetta here. I have a job to do, it's not easy sometimes. You get into difficult situations such as this one. I have to make a decision to protect the integrity of the organization and the town.
I think you ask the average layperson in town, the taxpayer, whatever, whether this was something that they would like to see their tax dollars utilized towards pursuing, I would say that 9 out of 10 of them would say no. And that's public perception.
It didn't cost you any more than any other situation of this. We didn't put any additional resources to it. Took the complaint, we followed up as we normally would with any other complaint, and then we had to follow more.
Well, I just would like to see cooler heads prevail. When something as insignificant as this, it comes to the attention of the police department, maybe a discussion of the facts involved would be more suitable to the occasion than going through this
Well, we attempted to do that.
criminal process. I don't know.
We did attempt to do that with all parties involved. And some of the parties involved came in, some did not.
I understand. Okay.
May I?
Kirk? Yeah, my name is Kirk Curry, I'm out of South. I don't know, 6 years ago, I went to some effort to help Carol and Ken get elected to the Board of Selectmen. And in most cases, I agree with most of what they say. In this case, I think you differ with Carol. I think if you'd shown any special consideration to a member of the commission, you would have undermined the credibility. I don't know whether everybody here has seen the Facebook post, but that was kind of the unforced error in all of this. That would have, if talking about cooler heads prevailing, if someone, in this case, I think Lynn Bender, who was also a selectman, had realized the seriousness of this, she probably would not have posted this Facebook. You'll also notice Carol, if you want a copy. But I think you'll also notice there are two selectmen in this picture, and you'll also see that a member of this commission liked the post. And you'll notice at the bottom. And this is really kind of childish. This is kind of what happens on, social media that most people end up regretting, because in this case, I think we all regret. Certainly the people that were involved regret. But once a complaint was made, I think the police did what they had to do. I have a lot of empathy, because I've sat there and gotten my mouth shut, and the same thing happened to me in my family. So I know how that carries. So I can be empathetic, but I think the police in this case did exactly what they had to do, as sad as it is.
Anybody else? Let's go to correspondence, please.
Just want to say something. A lot of the things that you've been working on and proposing over these past few months, many of them I'm really happy with the results. But I just want to make sure that when we're talking about this department and we're talking about the people that came before you, that we're not slighting how amazing of a department this is, and how far Joe Fawnin, Chief Fawnin, and Chief Laurie, who I challenged more than anyone in this room probably ever did. But these gentlemen did great things for this department, and I just want to make sure that when we're talking about it, I've always thought that it was more of a passing of a baton, and those guys did great work, and we were ahead in the race, and they're going to hand it to you, and you're going to build on that, and I want you to build on that, and I want you to make it better, but I want to never, ever seem like we don't appreciate or that we don't understand, because there's some things that when we talk about in these meetings, you talk about them, and you talk about them with, with heart, and you're very involved in them, but many of those things are things that Chief Fawnin and Chief Laurie were fully engaged in and were doing as well. So I just don't want, you weren't here when they were here, and I get that, but I just want you to make sure, I just want them to have the credit that they deserve, because they did great work. And again, I even challenge Chief Fawnin all the time. That's what I do, but the point is, I appreciated the things they did, and when you say we're going to make the department great, it was great under those two gentlemen, and I believe these former commissioners can attest to that, and I just want to give them that credit. And when you talk about writing policy, I want you to know that Chief Laurie spent a lot of time reviewing and updating the policies, and I just want to make sure that there's not a misunderstanding that great things were happening before you came, and I hope great things continue to happen under your.
Well, I certainly don't want to be any misunderstanding either. The work that these gentlemen did prior to my arrival allowed us to hit the ground running, and I have great stock. We got great people in this organization. They're fully dedicated to serving this community, and it's like anything else. There's always room for improvement, and I understand that sometimes maybe my words come across or are interpreted the wrong way, and I don't want them to be interpreted the wrong way.
That's right. So that's what I'm saying.
And listen, you always need to improve. There's always room for improvement. And my philosophy is very simply, listen, you can be the best today, but if you don't continue to improve and move forward, the only thing you are tomorrow is the guys who were best yesterday. So I don't spend a lot of time looking back, but I do appreciate everything they've done to me and everything they've done for this agency and for this community. They've done a great job. Like I said, these are great guys. I couldn't
And
be
they are a
happier.
testament to that as well.
Absolutely.
Because it was under
Absolutely.
their leadership.
I had we had great stock to work with, and these guys are really happy, and they're looking for opportunities, but everything is fluid, and policy work, unfortunately, it's very fluid, and things that were up to date 5 years ago are so far beyond now that it's dynamic, it's fluid, it's always changing, we have so many
That's fine.
regulations.
I just
put out,
didn't want
so
it to
we can do
be,
that.
I didn't want anyone to be left with the impression that,
Certainly
the
not. I
prior
would
chiefs
never,
weren't on top of everything and weren't excelling at their job, and
Surely.
improving on a daily basis everything.
I certainly wouldn't want that.
You wouldn't want them to feel that way.
No, I certainly would not.
Yeah.
Certainly would not, I didn't feel that way.
I didn't take it that way.
I didn't either.
But I will say, we have a lot to do with picking these good people.
Yes.
We can take some credit for that.
Me.
We really did,
I've been here once.
including the chief, of course.
But, I think we're seeing,
These two, they're tough here.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
On this restructuring, when are we going to be presenting this?
well, we sat down, as I said, Chairman Niles and I sat down with Bruce last week. He basically told us the things that he felt needed to be addressed, so in the next 2 weeks, I will be working on putting together a presentation, showing what the true costs would be for these positions, what I feel the benefits are, and how we move forward from there. So we'll put together a presentation, put it out to all the commission first, before we go back to Bruce, so everybody can have input on it, and let me know what you think. But basically, I'm going to try and implement what is the best practices, what's the national standard. It's very difficult these days with all the demands, as I said, of compliance and overseeing. Everything we do is in a microscope. I mean, we're microscoped on everything we do, so a small little incident becomes a huge incident. And you need to have the two commanders to oversee those divisions, because there are so many issues that need to be addressed on a daily basis. Two people can't do it.
So your presentation is going to involve, you're working on the administrative division, right? You've got patrol commander, and
This
you're going
is
to admin, and you're going to put a list together of each of their responsibilities.
Correct. So you have the operations division commander, that's their responsibilities at this point. And what I'll do is do a similar document for the staff services.
So when you talk about this, I'm 100% sure that Board of Selectmen is going to drill down on this and ask for timeframes and how much time is spent on these. So I think we need to talk about that, or
Sure.
somehow put that in
Yeah,
your
we can do a
presentation.
shot task analysis for that piece.
And I also think that when we're talking about how this structure could work, and we talk about the 28 guys, we currently have 27, which was, as I understood, supposed to be 26. The 27th guy was given to us in anticipation of one of the senior officers leaving, and then we would already have the person through patrol, and when we did our promotion process, we would not backfill the patrolman because we would already be able to move everyone up. And so I just want everyone to be mindful that when we're talking about staffing, and you're talking about getting us to 28, that it is the vision of the Board of Selectmen. And, everyone can roll their eyes and say every year's a tough year, but it's an extremely tough year this year. I know that to be true, and they're a hard line on everyone right now. And I know that when we talked about it one other time, we were talking about possibly deferring our request for the additional 2 guys until 2018-19. So I just don't know if there's a possibility of you looking at it in a different way that has a plan that can go forward, because if this gets shot down, as far as adding all of these extra guys, I want to have, and that you don't have to present that to Board of Selectmen, but I'd like to have an alternate plan.
It's always wise to
Because I
have
don't want-
contingency.
Pardon?
It's always wise to have contingency.
Yes, and, I definitely believe to get to 28 will be very difficult, and an uphill battle, because when you talk about salaries, you're talking about, it's a bigger picture than just what the salary is here. There's the labor burden, and there's the pensions, and all the things that go along with this that aren't reflected in the real dollars, that cost us money, so.
Understood.
I just want to make sure that, I just definitely believe that getting us to 28 is going to be a very difficult task. So when you're thinking about the presentation, also be mindful of the fact that a review of the command structure under the two administrators, which we had before, was looked at and vetted and researched, and so hopefully you'll come up with new information that has not already been discussed, because the pros and the cons and
Well, I was hopeful to
Everything
find
about
some
that.
kind of documentation from that last study. I have some minutes, but was
I
there,
got it all.
do you have a document?
I have it all in the folder.
If you can get that to me, I'd appreciate it.
I don't know if you'll be able to understand it, but I'll go
Did
through
you
it.
do like a final draft document, or no? It's just-
Well,
Because
most
I have
of it
minutes,
were the minutes.
I have all the minutes.
You
from
have the
Wendy.
minutes that she has?
I've been going
Yeah,
through
I'll have to
that.
go through and see what else I've got in that folder. The other thing in regards to what Kim's talking about, I know at one point during the last meeting, you brought up perf study. That was a long time ago, okay? You talk about being progressive and living now for today, so let's forget about perf.
Well, perf would be, maybe your perf study's old, but perf is the progressive end of the sword.
the study that they
I'm
did
talking
was
about the money, I'm talking about
15
the
years
numbers.
ago. It was an analysis of our specific
No, I-
department, like from
I have
15 years, or 18 years ago, so I think that's what she's saying.
2002.
So not to suggest that she said perf was outdated.
Oh, no, that one in particular, that particular study that
No,
we had done for our
understood.
town.
Understood. Hey, listen, like you said, that's old.
Yes, and
That's
we
how
want to
we
think
want it.
about, oh, we're going
We
forward.
gotta move forward. That was yesterday, tomorrow is a new day.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, you know, regarding what became our current structure up until last week, from having two administrators, I know, because I was chairman during the majority of this period, there were many days when there was no administrator in this building. And the chief talked about his job being risk mitigation, liability mitigation, and I always felt that that was a huge liability. There was nobody in a command staff to go to. Somebody was in training, somebody was on vacation, there was days just when there was nobody here. And then when we talk about the 27th officer, my recollection of that is a little bit different, because I was chairman then, and I was doing the budget back then. And that was when the money for the second major was taken out. And I did convince them to give us another officer because we were saving all that money. That's how the 27th officer came about.
No, we
I know
actually,
there was
we actually got the 26th officer. We had 25 officers, and we added the 26th officer, and that was what you convinced them of. And then I supported having the 27th officer because I thought that it was a great idea, because we continuously talk about the 6 senior officers that potentially could leave, and we did not want to be in a situation, especially with injuries and all the problems that we had, having to put a person through the academy. It would take too long, and so this way we could move everyone forward, and we would still backfill that slot, and we got boots on the ground, and it's exactly what we did. We had 25 officers when you were the chairman, and we increased it to 26, and then increased it to 27.
Go ahead.
But you remember that, right?
Go ahead, Phil.
Well, I remember the discussion about we got all these people that could retire, and then nobody retired.
Right.
And
We
I
did
think-
have that many times,
And
which
I
is
think
another
when
thing.
we went in with Chief Laurie, we were looking for 3 more officers. Well, of course, they didn't buy that argument. But I thought during that process, you know, somehow we got to the 27. But I think, and it may be because of that, I can't dispute that, but I think the money came about, it made it possible because we weren't spending the money on the second or third administrator.
Well,
So
we actually
it kind
added,
of worked
we
together.
added the extra guy, we had 25, we added the 26th guy, we used the money, and we also discussed the fact,
Well, that's because their overtime was through the roof. We finally convinced them.
we
we could
discussed,
save money.
Save
the
money that way.
potential
Yeah.
of a part-time administrative person.
Correct.
Well,
That
it's
is,
a clerical job.
yes, a clerical administrative person, and that was something that the ad hoc committee said, we'll come back if there's a problem, we can discuss it, we can give you some relief in that way, but we also talked about the fact that putting a guy with 20-something years' experience in policing to do work that could be done administratively was not, it was not practical to do it that way, and then this 27th guy came along, and that was definitely, the 26th guy, you were correct, you did convince them to add that, and I agree, we were at 25 for many, many years, when you went to 26, so that was the extra guy. The 27th guy is definitely gonna be dropped back under their scenario and what they talked about.
I don't remember any talk about we would drop back.
and that history may be accurate, you know, but I think it's important, I hope the commission, this commission in the BOS will open up to the realities of what we have today, listen to the arguments, and base their decision on the pluses and the minuses and the strengths of the arguments. That's all I hope for, you know, and listen to the state of our department, what has been found out, what has been assessed in the last 9, 10 months with Terravile before Chief DeMayo. And let's just see where we are today, what the realities are fiscally, you know, from risk management standpoint, and what his recommendations are, and let's kick them around and, you know, see how they fit us, and what we can do.
Whatever the